Welcome to the new Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri, as FSN Ohio presents Cincinnati Reds baseball. Today, game 2 of the 3-game set. It's the Reds against the Redbirds. Hi, hello, and welcome to Field Level, everybody. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch, I'm George Grand. Reds against the Redbirds, and what a great pitching performance by both clubs last night.
I'll tell you what, very interesting, George. I love those 1-0 ball games, those pitching duels. That's my kind of baseball.
Speaking of pitching, let's check our G pitching matchup for today. Two guys who weren't in their rotations last year are here today, Chris.
Well, they'd both be happy with the kind of performance their teams got last night. Dave Williams looks for his first win. He was acquired, of course, from the Pirates for Sean Casey. We'll look for his slow curveball today. Sidney Ponson, no longer the 98-mile-an-hour fastball, but he's the tough competitor out there in the rotation now for the Cardinals.
It's the Reds against the Redbirds, game 2. Threatening skies today, but we hope to get this one in. Stay with us. Reds baseball coming up next on a day where we salute the great one, Jackie Robinson. That's next on FSN.
Hi, welcome to Chris's Clubhouse. For last night's ball game, a good old-fashioned pitching duel. That's the kind of baseball I really enjoy. It got me thinking, though, in today's high-scoring game of baseball, how often do you see those 1-0 ball games? Well, we went to our Stats Inc. folks, and we asked them, of all the games played last year, how many were 1-0 ball games? Out of 2,431, 1.6% games that were played last year were 1-0 ball games. Well, let's roll the clock back to the opening of the original Busch Stadium back in 1966. Back in those days, they only played 1,615 games with all the major league teams out there. 49 of them were 1-0. That means 3% of them were 1-0 ball games overall. So back in the day, 66 that is, you were about 50% more likely to see a 1-0 ball game than you were today. So what's going to happen today? Hey, with the odds the way they are, probably not 1-0, but you really never know. I'll tell you one guy who does know. He's got the lineups when we return. George Grand, he'll be ready for you right after this on FSN Ohio.
The Reds bench, as you can see, the sun has popped out again. We've had some showers already today, more rain predicted later. Jerry Narron and the Reds are hopeful of getting game 2 in. Let's check Eureka's starting lineup for Narron and Cincinnati in first place in the Central Division. Ryan Friel back to lead it off. Felipe Lopez bats second. Adam Dunn third. And with Griffey out of the lineup, Aurelia will hit in the 4th spot. Then there's Scott Hatteberg, career against Ponson. He's had pretty good numbers, 8 for 14, a homer, a couple of knock-in. Encarnacion, Kearns, Valentin, and Dave Williams, the pitcher, bats in the number 9 spot. That is Eureka's starting lineup. And here's the American League transplant, who's had a pretty good spring with the Cardinals. Dave Duncan, happy to have him and plugging him into this rotation. The question is, what kind of an impact will he have in 2006, Chris?
Well, not bad if you consider him. He's your 5th starter for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's an 8-year Major League veteran. As Sidney Ponson, the numbers on him this year, he's only had 1 start. But he's had a very good career in the American League, as you said, George, primarily with the Baltimore Orioles. Did spend some time with the San Francisco Giants. That was back in 2003. This is what Ponson does when he's on the mound. He was once a very hard thrower. Used to get the ball up to 96, 97 miles an hour. Now you're going to see more sinking fastballs down around the 91, 90-mile-an-hour range. He'll change his angle on his breaking ball a little bit, and he's a tough competitor, a guy that just simply does not want to lose, and he thinks that this is a great opportunity for him to extend his career. Last year, made $8.5 million a year with the Baltimore Orioles. This year, he's down to $1 million with some bonus money included, so he wants to get right back up to where he used to be.
You know, you bring up a great point, too, Chris, because Ponson is one of 4 starters in this Cardinal rotation that are all free agents at the end of the year. It's been a long time since the Cardinals have been in that situation. In fact, the general manager of the Cardinals, Walt Jocketty, has said he's changed his philosophy this year for the first time since he took over here. He will negotiate during the season for guys who will be free agents, but this is an unsettled starting rotation for the Cardinals.
Well, it was a pretty good effort by their both starters last night, and they expect Sidney Ponson, if he buys into Duncan's theory, keep the ball down, let your fielders do the work.
Here's Ryan Friel, who's been doing the work for the Reds. Friel will lead it off. He's at .348, no homers, 1 knocked in. His on-base percentage has been exceptional for the Reds in the early going. He's been the trigger to this offense, and today he plays center field with Griffey still out of the lineup. Junior is available to pinch hit today. Their home plate umpire is Tim Timmons. He barks out a strike call. Joe Brinkman is over at first, Darrell Cousins at second, and Jeff Nelson, last night's home plate umpires, down at third. Bright sunshine now. Another hot and humid day, not quite as hot as yesterday, but still not what you would expect for the month of April in St. Louis. You expect it in July and August, but not right now. And if you weren't with us last night, this is brand new Busch Stadium. Looks a little bit different. You saw that ground ball go foul. There's a little more foul territory by the bases at first and third. The park not completely done. You can see up in left field and the upper decks. They have not finished all the seating up there. They hope to get that done within the next month. And when it is done, the capacity here will be 43,000, down from what the old Busch Stadium had. You can see some of the gray areas there where their seats have not been bolted in as yet, but they hope to have that open by May. 41,000 is the capacity right now. They've already sold 3.2 million for 2006. Friel, that's what you want him to do, Chris. Make him throw pitches, and that's what he's forcing him to do here in the leadoff spot.
He did that last night to start the ball game against the starter. Chris Carpenter had a long at bat before Carpenter finally got him with a fastball in the inside corner. But Friel's up there not only to see a lot of pitches, but obviously to try to get on and be disruptive with some speed.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Down to third. Tricky hop, but Rolen has it. Over to Pujols, and there's 1 away. There's your 4 defensive alignment for the Redbirds, who were the #1 team in the league last year defensively. There are some changes this year. Reggie Sanders gone, Walker gone in the outfield. So Schumacher's in left, Encarnacion's in right, and with Edmonds out of the lineup today, the 8-time Gold Glover, so Taguchi starts in center field. Rolen, Gold Glove at third, Eckstein, Luna, Pujols, and Molina behind the plate. That is your 4 defensive alignment for the Redbirds. Here's Felipe fouling the first one off. He's in at an even 300. 3 homers and 7 knocked in. 3 for 7 in his career against Ponson. Those of you that may have seen Ponson in his American League days, he was throwing 94, 95 and get a lot of strikeouts and had a lot of complete games. Had some arm difficulties since. Had weight problems as well, although he's never been what you would call a svelte baseball player, but his weight ballooned up. It's back down in a manageable area now, but no longer is he 94, 95. He'll try to keep the ball down and once in a while still go upstairs and go out of the zone, but doesn't blow you away, get you out more with placement now rather than velocity.
He's had his share of off the field activities that have been detrimental to his career as well. He's been arrested a few times for DUI. He's had a problem down in his homeland of Aruba with an altercation, and he's battled all those things to stay competitive on the field.
Luna scoops that up, and 2 ground balls. That's something that you didn't see from Sidney Ponson in his days in Baltimore. He was a fly ball pitcher. He certainly has changed that modus operandi. Let's check our storyline update for today. 8 is not enough. Reds looking to go 8-3, would be their best start since 9-2 in the year 90. Dave Williams, last start, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, and 3 punch-outs. Can he spot that fastball and spot that breaking ball today? Cardinals will overshift on Dunn with Rolen almost in a shortstop spot, and the shortstop Eckstein behind second base. Swinging and missing is Adam Dunn. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, last night the 2 starting pitchers had both sides talking when the game was over. Dunn said, I don't have a chance against Carpenter. That's no embarrassment because Carpenter's one of the best in the business, the Cy Young Award winner last year. Dunn rips it. Is it going to stay fair? It's curving. It'll go foul by about 15 feet down the right field line. Adam comes in with 5 homers and 8 knocked in on the season, and that .314 average that you saw.
You know, usually what you see with home run hitters like Adam Dunn, they take advantage of pitchers' mistakes. And when you face a pitcher like Chris Carpenter, those mistakes are so minimized that if you miss 1 pitch per game, that might be the only mistake that that pitcher makes. And if you foul it back or don't get a good swing at it, you're going to take an over. Some may call it a comfortable 0 for 4, but you're going to get them against guys like Carpenter and Maddox, those that really know what they're doing on the hill.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Dunn. That's up high. The best pitchers in baseball are not necessarily those that throw the hardest. They are the ones that have location and movement, and location is first and foremost in that lineup of keys. This one hit a ton. Forget it. There's a mistake that Dunn cashes in into right field. Home run for Adam Dunn, number 6, and the Reds take an early 1-0 lead. He'll put the hammer on it, won't he, Chris?
Tell you what, he hit that one a whole bunch. He had a foul ball that he had a pretty good rip at, and I was very surprised there to see Ponson come back with a pitch in the zone. Didn't want to put him on with a free pass, and Dunn makes him pay. Well, the advantage of having a home run hitter come to the plate in the first inning, so very important for every ball club, because if you can put a crooked number on in the first inning, it just changes the complexion of the ball game. The pitch pretty much right down Broadway. Molina was set up inside. Our Ohio Lottery instant replay. Long ball, 1-0 Reds.
25 rows deep in right field, and here's Aurelia skied to right center. Over comes Taguchi. He's under it. He's got it, but the damage done. Adam Dunn ticks off number 6 on the year. The Reds lead it 1-0. Turn it over to Dave Williams when we return. Let's check your Rico starting lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals of Tony La Russa. Shaken up a little bit today. David Eckstein, as usual, in the #1 spot. Taguchi will bat second. Albert Pujols, the reigning MVP, hits third, followed by Scott Rowland. Juan Encarnacion behind him, and Yadi Molina in his career against Williams, 4 for 10. He had a big hit last night as well. Luna will be your second baseman. Schumacher hits in the 8th spot, and Ponson bats in the #9 hole. That's your Rico starting lineup, and here's the Reds lefty, Dave Williams.
He's 0-1, looking for his first win of the season. He won 10 against 11 losses last year for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And he's pitched against this St. Louis Cardinal team a fair amount over the last couple of years. Got a report on this left-hander the Reds are running out there. Mostly four-seam fastballs. He's not overpowering. He'll throw it up around 86 to 90 miles an hour. Best pitch is going to be an overhand slow curveball. He'll throw really in the low 70s, and he'll just try to get those hitters way out in front on it. He tries to sink the ball a little bit, but just doesn't have a really very good sinking fastball yet.
Encarnacion flags it down on the edge of the grass over to Hatterberg, and there's one away. Here's your 4 defensive alignment for the Reds. Change in the infield today. Rich Aurelia will be at second, his first start this season at second base, with Friel in center. Griffey not in the lineup again. Hatterberg over at first. Lopez, Encarnacion left side. Dunn, Friel, Kearns in the outfield, and Valentin back behind the plate. That's your 4 defensive alignment. Junior is available to pinch hit today, and the hope is he may be in the lineup as early as tomorrow, but hopefully certainly by Monday against the Florida Marlins when the Reds return home to Cincinnati. One away, and here's Taguchi. Very solid ball player. He's gotten better each year. This one hit deep to left. Dunn going back, looking up at the wall. It's going to be off the wall. Taguchi will have a 2-bagger.
Well, Dave Williams tries to get the ball inside to right-handers. A little four-seamer that he cuts in on the thumbs. Left that one out over the plate. Dunn thinks that has a chance to get out of here, and it almost did. Hit about midway up on the screen at the 375 mark. So Taguchi showing some pretty good power with that swing.
And here comes Albert. Pujols 273, 4 homers and 10 knocked in. And the Cardinals told us yesterday that if there's one place in the ballpark where the ball does carry, it's right there from the bullpen over towards center field and left center, and you could see that ball carry. It just kept going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny.
It's funny because the wind appears to be actually blowing in a little bit today, although I don't think the wind is strong enough to affect the ball very much.
2 balls to Albert. Pujols 6 for 18 and a couple of homers against Williams.
Yeah, don't be afraid, or don't be amazed right here to see Dave Williams just simply pitch around Albert Pujols, because Pujols has had his way with Williams. He knows his stuff. Williams really doesn't have anything in his repertoire to get Pujols out. Pujols almost has to get himself out against Dave Williams.
Taguchi, pretty good speed out at second. That's ball 4, and a quick walk for Albert. So
no harm there at all, really. You put a guy on, you set up a double play ball. Williams is primarily a ground ball pitcher anyway, and now you bring up Scott Rowland, who, by contrast to Albert Pujols, has not hit very well at all against Dave Williams. He's hitting 143 in 7 at-bats. He's only picked up 1 hit. So you just got to figure that just the attitude and the confidence of a pitcher is so important, especially in the early going. Don't let Albert Pujols ruin your day in the first inning. Go after a guy you feel more confident with.
Rolling 0 for 4 last night, including a strikeout by David Weathers in the 9th, where Weathers froze him with a fastball on the inner part of the plate. So dangerous, though. Rolling off to a good start, 333 and a couple of homers.
Now that's the slow curveball right there that is very important for Dave Williams. He threw it very well in his last start. That against the Pittsburgh Pirates, dropped it in there many times for strikes, but he's got to get that baby over the plate.
Ball 1 to Rolen. This one blooped to the right side. It'll be out of play. And here is the biggest problem for Dave Williams, the right-handed power hitting part of this Cardinal lineup. He doesn't have that one pitch that he can use to get right-handers out. He's in Pittsburgh. They tried to get him to pitch inside a little more to try to open up the outer part of the plate, but here's where he's had trouble right here. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rolen, 2 shoulder injuries last year and 2 surgeries. Finally his season cut short. The Cardinals went into the postseason without this guy, and that certainly cut short their postseason. No, Scott Rolen changes the game measurably, both defensively and offensively. That's way wide. And it's 3-1. So Williams digging himself a hole here in the first inning.
Yeah, really, what a contrast between the approach of Dave Williams today and Aaron Harang last night. Harang pounding the strike zone with pitch after pitch that would be called for a strike. It looks like Dave Williams just kind of trying to pick at the corners right now.
And there's ball 4. So a double and 2 walks. Bases are loaded with 1 out. And here comes Encarnacion.
You know, sometimes a base on balls by a pitcher, even if it's not an intentional walk, can be an intentional walk, like the one he gave to Albert Pujols. That makes a lot of sense because you set the double play up. But if you're going to do that, you really got to go after Scott Rolen at that point. Make him put the ball in play, and if you're going to miss down. You want to establish yourself as a guy that's going to throw the ball down, try to get a double play. That line right there is going to be very difficult to match. Take that any time of the week out of one of your starting pitchers.
The only walk that was issued by Harang was in his last inning, his 8th inning of work. And already today, Williams has walked 2 here in the first. Here's 1 in a 205, no homers and 1 knocked in. And that's up high. No place to put him. They're loaded here in the first. The one thing the Reds were able to do is keep the Cardinal crowd out of the game last night. It was 0-0. The Reds scored to take a lead, and that's the way it stayed in a 1-0 ball game. They're already clapping here. This one popped up. Infield fly rule called. Hatteberg takes charge. Got it. Batter retired. And Encarnacion continues to struggle early. Williams gets a big out that he needs, and now he'll face Molina.
Well, Encarnacion had a terrible at bat last night against Todd Coffey, swinging at a couple of very bad pitches, trying to drive a run in. Almost very anxious at the plate. Unusual for a veteran player like Encarnacion to get himself out so easily. That time he just jammed himself. So sometimes that happens, and that's a big out for Dave Williams.
Cardinal team different than last year. Larry Walker was in right, and Reggie Sanders was in left for most of the year. They're both gone. Sanders signing a 2-year deal in Kansas City. Walker retiring. So it's a different looking Cardinal defensive lineman, and also different offensively. Here's Molina in at 182, no homers and 4 knocked in. There's the strike. Reds play him straight away. And again with Molina, who concentrates most on his defense, but kind of like every Cardinal catcher in recent years, he'll come up with a couple of hits that'll beat you in key situations. Last night he had a double in a 1-for-4 night. He made the final out of the ball game on a nicely turned 6-4-3 double play. It takes a little off, and there's a swing and a miss. Against Williams, 4 for 10 for his career. So already Williams tested here in the first inning. After walking 2, Encarnacion goes out early in his at bat, and now let's see if Williams can get Molina. This one left center. That's a base hit. 1 run scores. Here comes Pujols. He'll score, and it's 2-0 St. Louis. A broken bat base hit by Molina, and the walks that prolong the inning come back to haunt Williams. It's 2-0 St. Louis. 2-1 rather, St. Louis.
Well, Dave Williams on the afternoon, and it's only the first inning, has walked a couple of batters, and it's always my theory, George, that if you're wild outside the strike zone, you're wild inside the strike zone. And after throwing a very good changeup to set up Molina, he leaves what looks like a fastball or a dead fish pitcher. Was registered at 82 on the gun, pretty much right down the middle, and that is something even Molina is going to lace.
First delivery is outside to Luna, the second baseman today. Hector, 2 for 7 on the young season. So unlike last night where Carpenter and Orang traded zeros through most of the night, this one already has seen 3 runs put on the board when there was only 1 last evening. 2-1 St. Louis. There's a base hit to left. Make it 3-1 Cardinals. That pitch up 2 and Luna drills it to left.
Well, one of the keys for Dave Williams is to be able to get that slow curveball over, and he has not yet found that release point. And if he has to rely on fastball and changeup only, there's just not enough difference in those 2 pitches speed-wise to keep them honest. He's got to continue to be stubborn with his stuff, meaning throw that curveball until he finds a good release point and can get it over. Otherwise, it's going to be a short day for him.
And here's the left-handed swinger hitting in the 8th spot, Schumacher. 6 for 22. He did appear last night and dropped down a sacrifice bunt.
Well, this is a little different Cardinal team that Tony La Russa is running out there today. Last year, Yadi Molina batted almost exclusively in the number 8 spot. Didn't get out of there all year. Today, he's in the 6th spot in the lineup. So kind of gives you an indication where the Cardinals are offensively compared to the 2005 season.
Different in the starting lineup and different off the bench too. They don't have the same power off the bench that they've had the last couple of years. 1-2, hit to left, Dunn going back, looking up at the warning track, and he's got it. That one carried as well. Williams nods to his left fielder. Inning finally over. Cardinals scored 3 at 3-1 St. Louis. Here we go to the second. Hatteberg, Encarnacion, and Kearns due up for Cincinnati in a 3-1 Cardinal lead. Gary Nairn smiling after last night's 1-0 victory. And interesting, Chris, those of you that missed Chris's clubhouse today, it is real interesting. We were talking yesterday, not often that you see 1-0 games anymore, and it's hard to believe that only 1%, a little over 1% of the games are 1-0 these days.
Yeah, you've got about a 98.5 or 98.5% chance of seeing other than a 1-0 ball game nowadays. So it's a rarity. I hope you were able to pick it up because those are good ones.
2 balls and no strikes to Hatteberg. Hatteberg, by the way, we wondered if that play that he had with Pujols down at first last night, if he had been hit on the right ankle, and it was. He said that the foot of Pujols hit him right in the Achilles tendon area of the right ankle. Said it was sore last night. He was fine today, and he's back in the lineup. Luna backhands on a flip, and he is out. Nice play by Luna. Nice play by Pujols to keep the foot on the bag. Hatteberg retired, 1 away.
Now the Cardinals picked up Hector Luna a few years ago in a Rule 5 draft situation. They had to keep him on the roster. They thought he was going to be the shortstop of the future. And when Edgar Renteria left for Boston and David Eckstein came in to play shortstop, Luna was left without a position, and here he is, kind of a fill-in guy, but that's a marvelous play by the Cardinal second baseman.
He'll play all 4 infield positions, and if you need it, he can play the outfield too. Here's Edwin, Encarnacion, a homer, 6 knocked in, fouls this one off. Hey, for every Reds run scored in this game, Safe Auto Insurance will donate $50 to the Reds Community Fund. 1-800-SAFE-AUTO encourages you to get home safe. Broken piece of lumber. Edwin will get a new one with a strike 1 count. This game 2 of the 3-game set tomorrow. Bronson Arroyo against Mark Mulder. Arroyo 2-0 with 2 homers. Mulder 1-0 and a homer of his own. We'll be on the air once again with Real Reds at 1:30 tomorrow. Can't hold it. There's a strike. The Reds players say that this infield Around third, that's where Scott Rowland said the dirt's a little hard, and Encarnacion agreed, although he made 2 fine plays last night. Tony Womack saying around second, and Lopez saying around short. It plays pretty true. But in any new ballpark, Chris, the grass, the dirt, the feel of the park, takes a while for everybody to get comfortable with it. Around home plate, both the Reds and the Redbirds agree it's very hard around home plate. And with a staff that throws a lot of 2-seamers and sinkers, you figure little by little they'll soften that up. The Cardinals will.
If Dave Duncan gets his way, it'll be like a quagmire there in front of home plate. This is a sinker ball staff. They threw more ground double plays than anybody else in the National League last year, and they're turning them again this year.
Molina holds on. There's a strikeout. Punch out number 1 for Ponson. 2 away, and here comes Austin Kearns.
He didn't go downstairs. He went upstairs with a fastball right there. It looked like Molina wanted that ball down. The way he's kind of patting his glove ahead of the pitch by Ponson, but he threw it right by the pretty good fastball hitting Edwin Encarnacion. Edwin usually does not miss that pitch up around the letters.
2 away. Kearns 1 for 7. That won a homer against Ponson in their previous meetings. Off to a pretty good start. 317 and 3 homers on the season is Austin Kearns. Had a couple more hits yesterday. Ponson peers in for the sign. Here's the 1-1. And again, Chris, you look where Molina's setting up and where Ponson's delivering. And at this stage of their relationship, you don't think it's a decoy. He's not hitting his spots, but he's throwing strikes, not where Molina wants it.
Yeah, he's got good enough stuff that he can make a mistake here and there and get by. But what you keep in mind when you see Yadi Molina behind the plate is he is one of the most active catchers, in as much as he really likes to move inside, outside. Some catchers pretty much stay right behind the center of the dish and let the pitcher aim to the shin guards, but he really moves a lot back there.
That's snubbed down to third. Here comes Rowland, scooping, throwing, and they got it. Reds go 1-2-3 in the second. Dunn's homer gave him a run. Cardinals got 3 of their own and lead it 3-1. We go to the bottom of 2. On Wednesday, May the 24th. There's a fly ball to center. Friel is there. He hauls it in. So Ponson is retired for the first out of the second inning. Back to the top of the order, David Eckstein.
That'd be nice to have Dave Williams go out there for his sake and the Reds to go out and retire this Cardinal team 1-2-3. Try to stem the momentum a little bit. They hit the ball hard in the first inning. They were centering the ball off of him. He really needs a nice, easy inning here to get his team back off the field and get his confidence back a little.
Here's Eckstein, grounded to third in the first inning. Picked up the first triple in this brand new ballpark on opening day. Cardinals, after being swept by Chicago on the road, came here and took 2 of 3 from the Milwaukee Brewers. The triple by Eckstein was 1 of 3 hits. He had a single, double, and triple, a homer shy of the cycle for the first game played here. Very pleasant ballpark, and like all the new stadiums, Chris, I mean, they never build them bad anymore. You can quibble with this or that, but they're all fan friendly, that's for sure. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That's a sinking liner to right. It'll drop in front of Kearns for a base hit, so Eckstein's on. 1 out, 1 on. Hey, Friday night, get a look around the major leagues with FSN Baseball Report. They're covering every team all season long with highlights, interviews, and analysis you won't get anywhere else. FSN Baseball Report, Fridays at 6 right here on FSN Ohio. One out, one on, and here's Taguchi, who started the uprising in the first with a double off the wall and left. There's a strike. Flashenstein's down in the third base coach's box. Jose Akindo as Taguchi looks at him. And over in the first base box, as usual, Dave McKay for the Cardinals. The 2 walks and the 2 singles spun around the Cardinal lineup, so Williams is looking at Pujols and Rolen sitting in the on-deck circle and in the hole right after Taguchi here. Tony La Russa, with a different kind of club, late in spring training, was hitting and running a little bit more. And with Eckstein on the bases, don't be surprised if he puts something on. It's hit down the line towards the corner. One hop and a foul ball. Just curving foul at the last moment. Looked like it was heading for the corner.
It was hooking really right from the time that it hit the bat, and Dave Williams probably into himself. Hook, hook, hook. An off-speed pitch that Taguchi just kind of wrapped around a little bit, got around the outside of it and pulled it. He hit the ball very well the first time up, nearly leaving the yard.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Taguchi. He waves at it in the dirt, swing and a miss, and there's a strikeout for Williams. Punch out number 1. There's 2 away, and here comes Albert.
Now that's a slow pitch that Dave Williams really needs to work for him. They finally got that curveball down a little bit. Really wasn't a strike, but Taguchi, anxious at the plate, figuring Williams would throw him a strike, went chasing one. Well, that's where he's got to throw that pitch, and in order to get that baby down, you have to continue to throw it till you find your release point.
In the first, Williams wanted no part of Pujols. He walked him and then walked Rolen behind him. And now he faces him here in the second with 2 outs and a runner on first.
Yeah, walked him on 4 pitches the first time up, all fastballs. He was telling me yesterday that Albert Pujols has laced him before, a couple of home runs, one of which came on that slow curveball.
This one hit deep to left. It's curving. It's way back. It's heading towards the corner. It's going to be out of here. A sky-high fly ball, and make that the 3rd home run that Pujols has hit off Williams. He's now 7 for 19 against Williams and 3 homers.
Here, that really did not appear to be that bad of a pitch, but no sooner did I get it out of my mouth, George Graham, that Albert Pujols jumped over that slow curveball. It appears that Pujols is sitting on that pitch from Dave Williams. He did it the first time he faced Williams, and he got that pitch, I guess, about knee-high by the time it came to the plate. Boy, he just belts that ball mile high and right inside the foul line to left.
Another hooking ball. The only question was, would it stay fair? It kept hooking. It was heading towards almost the bullpen area. It kept sliding towards the corner and finished about 10 to 12 feet fair. So Albert picks up homer number 5 on the season, and the Cardinals now lead it 5-1. Now, Chris, you've been there before. I mean, there are some hitters that you feel you got their number. There are other hitters that you say, I don't have anything to get this guy out.
Well, you know, my style of pitching was very similar to Dave Williams, and really what your approach has to be is that I'm not out there to get these guys out. I'm just going to make good pitches so I can give them an opportunity to get themselves out. But when you face a guy like Albert Pujols, who sees the ball so well on you, it's tough. When you've got no place to put him out there, you've already got a guy on first base. It's very difficult to do. Some guys just have your number, and Pujols looks like he really sees the ball well off the Reds' left-hander.
Here's Rolen. He walked the first time. He'll walk the second time. 2 outs, a homer, then a walk, and here comes Juan Encarnacion. And Tom Hume, dispatched by Jerry Narron to do a checkup from the neck up on Dave Williams out on the mound.
And this is really something that Tom Hume's probably going to go tell Dave Williams. It's all about confidence right here. Yeah, they've hit the ball hard a little bit, but they're not hitting you because you don't have good stuff. They're hitting you because you're not making good pitches. So be aggressive out there. You know, you're already down 5-1. You lose nothing by going right after him right here with your best stuff. So forget what the score is. Pitch him inside if you want to pitch him inside, but don't just aim the ball up there. Let it go and let your natural stuff take over. We got you for a reason, and you're out there, and let's see what you can do.
No action in the bullpen. Matt Belisle sitting on the back end of the bench in the Reds bullpen. Bullpen's very similar to the bullpens that were at the old Busch Stadium. That's up high for a ball. Juan played for the Dominican Republic in the World Baseball Classic. First year with St. Louis. This one bobbled by Hatteberg, but he recovers and taps the bag. But the damage done. Another homer, this one by Pujols. It's 5-1 St. Louis. Back at Busch Stadium 3, the brand new Busch Stadium. George Grant, Chris Welch, our entire crew. Great to have you with us. So far, the Reds on the short end of this one, 5-1. Here's Javier Valentin, the catcher, hitting in the 8th spot. Williams due to follow as we go to the 3rd. 5 runs, 5 hits for St. Louis. They've left 3 on. A run, a hit for the Reds. It was an Adam Dunn homer. That's the lone offensive effort for the Reds so far. Jason LaRue continues to rehab, and the hope is he'll be back with the Reds within the week, and that'll necessitate another roster move. Here's a bouncer down to first. Pujols will take it himself. Valentin's retired, 1 away, and that'll bring up the pitcher Dave Williams. At the best sports show period. Don't forget it. It's the greatest nightly sports show on TV with host Chris Rhodes, co-host John Sally, Rob Dibble, and Rodney Peete. Best sports show period, weeknights only on FSN right here. Williams looking for his first hit of the year, hitting in the 9th spot. Takes ball 1. Reds start today in first place in the National League Central. And you figure when all is said and done, the Cardinals will be there come September. Cardinals regarded as the cream of the crop. The Astros and Cubs also in that same ballpark area. The hope is that the Reds, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh can close the gap from last year.
You got to figure also, George, that if the Cardinals need some pieces come middle of the season, their ownership group is going to stand up and get it done. Give Walt Jocketty the chance to go out and add some pieces, and this lineup probably needs some help, and I think they'll probably also address the situation that they have in the bullpen, which is not as strong as is in recent years.
Cardinals sitting on an $88 million payroll right now. That one took a tricky hop on Albert, but he made the play. You know what makes Albert Pujols so great? He was the MVP last year. You know about his offensive numbers. Today the Cardinals were out early. Here was Albert Pujols at first with Jose Aquindo, the infield instructor, taking drills around first base. He wants to get better and better, not just offensively but defensively too. Very special guy on the field and off.
Franchise player.
And he signed a franchise contract with the Cardinals. It not only guarantees him a contract for the next 4 years, it also guarantees that he'll be their voice throughout the Dominican and down in the Spanish-speaking countries. This is off the glove. He bounces up. Will not make a play. And that's Pujols. I mean, he knew if he catches it cleanly, he takes care of all 3 outs. It just bounced off the glove, and it'll go as an infield hit for Friel.
Well, what an effort by Pujols. Friel will reach on this. It bounces out of his glove. He's upset with him, Pujols is, because the ball hit his glove and then went out. Actually, Pujols had a chance on most runners to be able to pitch it over to Ponson, who was covering, But he realized that Ryan Friel getting down the line, that was not going to be a possibility.
So Friel's on, the league leader in stolen bases, with a pretty good lead against Ponson. Ponson early in his career had a big high leg kick as a power pitcher, drop and drive guy. He's since developed a slide step. He's cut his motion measurably short, and it's even better this year. That's something the Cardinals have worked on him in spring training with. Cardinals are exacting in the way they try to control the running game, and starts with pitching, doesn't it?
Starts and ends with pitching, especially when you get to the postseason. You know, with the Reds 4 runs down, you wonder if Ryan Friel might still be thinking about a stolen base. You're not going to get all 4 of those runs back in one inning. Maybe pecking a little bit here and a little bit there.
1 ball, 1 strike.
I mean, even if Ryan Friel is thrown out attempting to steal, you've got Felipe Lopez to lead off the inning. I think if you've got speed out there, you have to push it.
This one looped to left towards the corner. Friel round second, heading for third. Coming into second will be Lopez. A double, and there are runners at second and third for Cincinnati with 2 away. So Felipe continues his strong early season. He's 1 for 2, the average over 300.
Well, one little flick of the bat by Felipe Lopez. What a dangerous hitter he is, because he hits the ball everywhere, and that ball is a good pitch by Sidney Ponson. On the corner, on the knees, and he just kind of flips the end of his bat out there and sends it down the left field line. Friel easily going to third base. He had notion of going home had Mark Berry not held him up ahead of time.
So second and third, and here's Dunn, who hit one about 25 rows deep down the right field line for the Reds run, a homer, his 6th of the year. Breaking ball, strike 1. Here's another look at a big-time shot, Chris.
Yeah, got a fastball from Sidney Ponson. Tried to get it inside, and Ponson missed out over the plate. Not a good thing to do to a big guy like Adam Dunn. Now, Molina's going to go out and talk to Ponson. They threw him a changeup on the first pitch to try to set the tone in this at-bat. But Molina may be reminding him, hey, you know what? You got first base open. There's no reason to try to challenge this guy in some kind of an ego thing to see if you can throw the ball by him.
You see the league leaders with homers. Dunn tied for the top spot. That's a strike. Last year, the Reds in the month of April hit 24 home runs. This year, they've hit 21 already.
Well, look where Yadi Molina is set up. I mean, he's about 2 feet outside. That ball just clipped the outside corner. Changeup after changeup. 2 of them in a row for Ponson.
0-2. Got him. So Ponson strands a pair. The Reds have left 2 on. They trail at 5-1, going to the bottom of 3. Seating dining combo suitable to every group outing. Located in the Riverview section of the fan zone, the tent offers a great space for your group of 25 or more to eat, socialize, have fun before or during the game. This one skied to center field. Back is Friel. He's got it. And Molina's retired. Molina had a run-scoring hit first time up. There's one away here in the third. Hope you're enjoying your holiday weekend. A happy Passover and a happy Easter weekend to everyone, and glad you could be with us here at the new Busch Stadium in St. Louis, the new home of the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's Luna. He singled in a run also in that first inning. Redbirds got 3 in the first, 2 in the second, and lead it 5-1. This one hit pretty good to left. Dunn going back, looking up at the wall. It's into the bullpen and gone. The bottom of the order is doing some business against Dave Williams. The homer makes it 6-1 St. Louis.
You're going to have days like this when you manage a Major League Baseball team. You run your number 5 starter out there, and I don't think there's a team in baseball that wouldn't wish that they could upgrade somewhere in their rotation and get better in the number 5 spot. And Dave Williams today getting hammered pretty good by the Cardinals. Hector Luna joins the home run parade.
6 runs, 6 hits for St. Louis. Had built a pyramid of cash at Grand Victoria Casino and Rising Sun every Friday in April. Enter from 4 to 10. Win up to $1,000. Restrictions do apply. See the casino for rules. Well, he disposes of Shoemaker, the number 8 hitter, for the second out of the inning. And he'll face Ponson with 2 outs here in the third. Cardinals 3 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, lead at 6-1. Popped up in the infield. Aurelia at second calling. He squeezes it, but one swing of the bat ups the Redbird lead to 6-1. Going to the fourth, Aurelia will lead it off. Dave Williams on the short end of a 6-1 count as we head to the fourth inning. Aurelia, Hatteberg, and Encarnacion due up. One good thing, and I think you can really say it universally throughout the Reds clubhouse, they believe that if you can keep the game around 5 or 6 runs, the Reds still have a chance to win with this offense. And even with Ken Griffey Jr. not in the lineup today again with that sore right knee, the feeling is that give us a chance and we can still come back with some runs.
Well, normally this team will score some runs. Last night you got to figure somewhat of an exception to that rule by having only scored 1 run in a ball game. Fortunately, the pitching was up to it, but you know, for the most part, this is an offense that will put some runs on the board.
This one ripped towards the left field corner. It's going to be a couple of hops all the way to the wall, and Aurelia will cruise in with a 2-base hit. Aurelia hit the ball well first time up. Had nothing to show for it, a fly ball to Taguchi in center. Bangs this double, and the Reds have a leadoff hitter in scoring position. Here's another look.
The Reds are getting some pretty good pitches to hit from the Cardinal starter, Sidney Ponson. He's laid a few balls in the middle of the zone, and Rich Aurelia, who fly it out the first time, he got a better pitch to hit that time and rips it down the left field line.
That padding against the wall here in St. Louis, it is a little thicker than most ballparks. The ball will bounce very aggressively off it, and at the bottom of it there's about a 6 to 8 inch hole where there's concrete. So if it's a ground ball that hits the concrete, it'll bounce very quickly, and in some cases there are little corners to the concrete, so you have to watch where it goes. Off the padding, it's liable to go 30 or 40 feet back towards the infield. The good news for outfielders is the padding's pretty good. The bad news is you got to watch on a line drive that hits off it where it ends up. Hatteberg bounced out first time up. He's had some success against Ponson. 8 for 16 coming in today with a homer. That misses inside. 3-0. That's wide, and the Reds have first and second, nobody out. Something cooking here as Edwin Encarnacion comes to the plate. Gives us a chance as Molina goes out to talk to Ponson to check R. Yes, sir. Aflac trivia question.
Aflac!
Since 1949, who are the only 2 players to win the National League Most Valuable Player Award and lead the league in stolen bases in the same season? A unique double dip. Win the MVP and be a stolen base leader as well. That's since 49. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Edwin, who struck out first time up. Missing wide for a ball. As you get deeper in the lineup, action in the Cincinnati bullpen. 4 spots away from Dave Williams, the number 9 hitter. Matt Belisle is up and loosening.
A little quick on that pitch was Edwin Encarnacion. Got a good pitch, and just, boy, he's got a quick bat, and he just got out in front of that 89-mile-an-hour fastball just a little bit. This is a situation with first and second, nobody out. You know, in this at bat, you're going to get something that Ponson's going to have to deliver for a strike. Don't be too anxious.
Eckstein knocks it down. They'll get one at second, on to first. Yes, a double play. Smothered by Eckstein. Nice turn by Luna, and the Reds' very promising inning. 2 on, nobody out. Now there's 1 on and 2 away.
A good effort by Edwin Encarnacion. Hit the ball sharply, happened to be right within the grasp of Eckstein, and the Cardinals do what they did best last year, and that's turn the double play.
So Aurelia goes to third, 2 away now, and here comes Austin Kearns, who bounced out first time up.
They had over 120 double plays last year, did the Cardinals. This year, that is their 14th. That puts them second place in the National League, or make that in all of Major League Baseball.
Nice block by Molina, 1-1. Kearns 7th in the lineup. Valentin due up next. Fastball foul back.
I've got to correct myself on that stat, George. Last year, the Cardinals had 196 double plays. It was tops in all of Major League Baseball.
Cardinals and Pirates best at turning doubles last year.
Contrast that with only 133 turned in by the Reds. Now, the difference, obviously, not necessarily the play of your infielder, but the composition of your pitching staff. If you've got a bunch of sinker ball pitchers out there, they're going to lay that ball on the ground more often.
And that's one of those stats that you look at in a number of different ways. You can compare the Reds simply because Cincinnati gave up so many hits and had so many base runners last year. You would think, well, they had more chances, and not to have, I mean, if the Reds had had a good defensive infield, they would have had many more double plays, whether it's a ground ball staff or a fly ball staff. And that's a statement of the Reds' lack of defense last year as much as anything. And on the other hand, I mean, the days of the Ozzie Smiths, or for the Reds, the Barry Larkins and people like that, you take range into account, you take the double play combo into account. With Eckstein here and Jack Wilson in Pittsburgh, you figure that you're going to have a lot of double play started in the middle of the infield. 2-2. Another nice block by Molina on a ball in the dirt. Aurelia was a third of the way down the line, hoping to steal a run.
He's one of the best around as far as blocking the ball. He knows there's a runner 90 feet away from home, and he's just going to get his body down there, lean his torso forward a little bit. Just keep the ball within the area of home plate. You've done your job.
3-2, 2 outs. Did he go? Yes, he did. So the Reds look like a smiling inning for him. It starts with 2 on, nobody out. They go dry in the 4th to the bottom of 4, 6-1. Back trivia question. Our question for today, and our answer: since '49, who are the only 2 players to win the National League MVP award and lead the league in stolen bases in the same season? And it is number 42, Jackie Robinson. That was in '49, and the great Dodger shortstop Maury Wills in 1962. Joe Morgan just missed the 20 stolen base.
That's about
number.
the only thing he just missed in his career. Matt Belisle, Gary and Aaron hopes he does not just miss. He's the new Reds pitcher taking over for Dave Williams. Williams charged with 6 runs in his 3 innings of work.
6-1 St. Louis. Here's Eckstein, 1 for 2, a single, and he scored a run in the 2nd. The two most precarious spots on any pitching staff are your fifth starter spot and the last guy in the bullpen. So every time you go out, Chris, you feel you're pitching for your spot. That's a shot. It is just fouled down the third base line.
You're right, George, because in defense of Dave Williams, he's the one guy in this starting rotation that gets skipped when there's an off day. You want to keep your other guys, your horses, so to say, on that every fifth day plan, and it's tough sometimes to not be in the same rhythm that everybody else is, and it's also tough to be pitching for your own self and instead of pitching for the team's benefit. Sounds kind of funny, but when you're pitching for your own personal career out there, sometimes you feel like you're the only guy on the island.
Your number one starter will always go on his regular days of rest. So you're the fifth starter. You're going to get bumped. You're going to get flipped around, especially during the month of April. Here's a bloop. Kearns there got it, and there's one away. Eckstein's retired. He's 1 for 3. By the way, on that 1949 number since 49, Jackie Robinson and Maury Wills. Jackie led the league with 37 stolen bases in 49, and you know about Maury, 104 in 1962. Maury back with the Dodgers again as a base running instructor, and Jackie always with us. Number 42 retired here. The one thing, Chris, that they haven't really fulfilled here at New Busch Stadium yet, and here's a bouncer down to second. Aurelia has it, and there's two away. The Cardinals, like the Reds, steeped in so much great tradition. And in the old Busch Stadium, they had the Hall of Famers up in the outfield when they closed up the upstairs portion of the upper deck. And here they're still working on it. They have not honored all the Hall of Famers and all the numbers. They do have the numbers that are retired out in right center field, as you just saw, and that'll be developing over the course of this year and into next year, because I mean, to be honest, they had to hustle to get this stadium open for this week.
Well, they had to take the other stadium out before they were able to complete this. They did move the statues. You saw the Stan Musial statue, and I guess they have the other Bob Gibson statue out there. I didn't see that, but
Pujols towards the alley, long run for Friel. Albert rounds first, who's heading for second, and will have a stand-up double.
And maybe they just ought to build a statue for this guy right now. I mean, you can watch Albert Pujols play, and you'll go a week at a time before you see him take one bad swing, and it's almost as if he hits the ball hard every time he's up. You get him a pitch up in the zone like that, don't try to pull the high pitch, just lay the wood to it. Boy, does he have some bat speed.
So Albert's sitting at second. The Cardinals already a lead at 6-1, 2 away, and here's Rolen, who walked twice against Dave Williams. Belisle peers in for a sign from Valentine from the stretch. Matt Belisle has always been an intriguing young prospect. There are some who think he could be a closer. There are others who believe he could be a starter. We put the package together. Still a youngster and studying and learning, especially with guys in that bullpen. This one popped back and out of play. Numbers, velocity are all very important. The story that sticks with me more than anything is when I asked Greg Maddux about Matt Belisle when he was traded from the Braves to the Reds, and he said his smile came on his face. He said, that's a young guy who gets it. He's going to be fine. His stuff is good enough, and he wants to learn as much as any young pitcher I've ever been around. Now he just needs to pitch. That's a ball. It's a walk. First and second, 2 away, and here comes Juan Encarnacion. Don't forget, more Reds baseball will be coming your way. Tomorrow, Bronson Arroyo will go for his 3rd victory of the season against Mark Mulder. Mulder 1-0. We'll be on the air with Real Reds at 1:30. JD, Jim Day will be standing by to keep you up to date on everything. And the game will follow. Two out, two on, and here's Encarnacion 0 for 2. Juan, the former Red, a .270 career hitter against Cincinnati. Most recently, of course, in Florida. That's a bouncer down to second. They'll take the flip to first, and that'll do it. So a double and a walk, no harm in the fourth. Going to the fifth. Valentin will lead it off when we return. Well, it's been lucky number 13, Sidney Ponson, on the mound for St. Louis on this day. The Reds a homer on 4 hits. The lone Cincinnati run, a homer by Adam Dunn. In the on-deck circle is Matt Belisle, due to bat second in the inning. Valentin leads it off. He bounced to first in the 3rd inning, 0 for 1. On this road trip, the Reds pitching before today, starting pitching especially, has been brilliant. Both the starters and the bullpen had earned run averages under 2. Tom Hume, the interim pitching coach for the Reds, with Jerry Narron. And we send our highs and hellos down to Florida to Vern Rule, who continues to take his cancer treatment and not very far out of the mind of anybody on this Reds club this year. We wish him our best. Aaron Harang carried the mantle yesterday, didn't he? A 1-0 victory and a big base hit. I mean, he's walking around the clubhouse for about an hour after the game, not wanting to talk about anything but the hit last night, Chris.
It was the most important hit of the game.
That's a bouncer. Valentin retired. 1 away. And Belisle will hit.
Really nothing better for a starting pitcher than that day after. The day after you have a game like Aaron Harang pitched last night, you just kind of take it easy. He went out and got his workout in. They do a little long distance running or to hit the bike and do some of those things to get your blood flowing. But for the most part, you kind of bask in the glory of what you did the night before. And he really deserved every accolade that was laid upon him. But for everybody else, it's a new day and a new challenge.
Challenge continues tomorrow. We hope you join us at 1:30 with Real Reds as Bronson Arroyo takes the mound against Mark Mulder. That should be a dandy matchup too. Here's Belisle.
I'll give you a little preview of what I got for you tomorrow on Chris's Clubhouse tomorrow, George, on Easter Sunday. I'm going to come up with the all-religious team in Major League Baseball. Hope you're able to tune in. You've given me a couple of ideas already.
Well, I mean, there's one any Reds fan will come up with him. You know that. And he was my favorite Reds player when I was just a kid, and that was Johnny Temple.
Yep, he's on the list, no doubt.
Now, does Gary Templeton fit in on that too?
Well, not if you've got Johnny Temple. I've got to give him the nod over, as we knew, Tempe.
That's a swing and a miss by Belisle. 2 away, back to the top of the order, Friel.
Now, you might see Frank Pastore on the list.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
In other words, we can look for more of the same.
Yeah. You mean stretches? Yes.
Shot to center. Here's Taguchi in his tracks. He's got it. The Reds go quickly in the 5th. 1, 2, 3. Ponson's cruising. When we return, Molina comes to the plate. Reds trying to scratch for some runs. They trail it 6-1. Belisle back to work. Molina leads it off. Molina, Lunar due up for the Cardinals. You can see it's gotten a little darker here. The weather forecast is for some showers and some thunderstorms, some violent later on tonight. Hopefully it all blows through before tomorrow's ball game. Ball and a strike to the Cardinal catcher. Hit pretty good. Left field. Back is done. Looking up at the wall. He's got it. Molina has been swinging the bat pretty good the last 2 nights. But Luna's been even better. 2 for 2, including a homer. He singled his first time up, and here's Luna's first homer of the year, his second time up.
Hey, you know, George, so far we've talked about how this ballpark is going to play. Is it an offensive park? Is it a pitcher's ballpark? They called it fair, and you know, just based on 2 games, which is not a very big sample size, but it seems to be pretty fair. It looked like Molina hit that ball well, but not that great. So it went to the warning track, should be hauled in, and was.
Loop to second. Aurelia's got it, and there's 2 away. Well, they finally get Luna. Time for our Cincinnati Children's Hospital down on the farm. Louisville bats yesterday. Ray Olmedo reinstated from the disabled list, strained right elbow. William Bergoya reinstated from the DL2. Bergoya really missed most of spring training. What was at first thought to be a hernia turned out to be a strained abdominal muscle. So 2 familiar names to Reds fans activated, and part of that was the equation that wound up releasing Jacob Cruz. And Chris, we wish Jacob the best. He'd been with the Reds the last couple of years, was their best pinch hitter, not just on the field. He was a great asset in the clubhouse, a first-class guy. We wish him the best, and Frank Minichino also.
Yeah, both those guys very first class. We got to know Jacob Cruz very well, and you know, it's amazing in baseball how you go from leading the league and pinch hits one year to looking for a job the next year. But that's the nature of the beast. We do wish Jacob well, and I'm just wondering if that addition of Olmedo and Bergoya to the lineup last night had something to do with the Bats' record attendance for Louisville Slugger Field. They had more than 14,000. That's the most they've ever had in a ballpark there. I guess they'd bring them out to see those 2 guys pick it.
Andy Abad, of course, dropped from the roster yesterday and sent down. He will report to Louisville. Abad will stay with the Reds organization, as Quentin McCracken is now in uniform and with the Reds.
We always thank our good friend Sven Jensen.
Sven Jensen,
the Director of Media and Public Relations down for the Bats, for sending us information like that.
Anybody we send down there, Chris, we tell them you're going to love it in Louisville.
Yeah.
And people are treated wonderfully, have always been. And of course, Louisville at one time the Cardinals AAA farm club as well for many years. And that was when Mary Barney was still with him, and Mary Barney's still there, and the legend. If your child suffers a sports-related injury, ask your doctor about the sports medicine program at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, or call us at 513-636-PLAY. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Ouch. Schumacher, 5th-round draft pick by the Cardinals back in 2001. Opportunity at the major league level this year. Spent some time up last year as well. Can you do that twice in a row?
I'll tell you what, he's giving those puppies a beating.
Loop to left, Dunn coming in. He's got it, and that'll do it. It's a 1-2-3 for Belisle. Hey, the first 1-2-3 inning for the Reds this afternoon. Reds go to work as we go to the 6th. For the Reds, very simple right now. You got to find a way to get to this guy. Sidney Ponson has pitched great. The Reds have only 4 hits and a run. The run, thanks to an Adam Dunn homer, his 6th of the season, tying him for the top spot in the National League. Here's Felipe Lopez. Dunn will follow, then Aurelia. We started the day, Chris, talking about Dave Williams trying to find a way to let hitters get themselves out, not having a put-away pitch, and that's what Ponson's done today. He's let the Reds get themselves out.
Yeah, he really doesn't have a put-away pitch either, but it seems like every time he gets in trouble or needs a big pitch, he takes something off his fastball. I'm not sure whether he's throwing a little splitter or whether he's throwing a changeup, but it's coming in around 80 to 82 miles an hour. He got Adam Dunn out on it with a couple of runners on base. He struck Austin Kearns out on it in the last inning, and that seems to be his go-to pitch. And I think there's also a learning curve here for the Reds. A lot of these guys have never seen Sidney Ponson before, and if they have, it's been a couple of years. And, you know, you get a scouting report on them, but it's not always enough. Sometimes you just need to stand in the batter's box and see how the ball comes out of a pitcher's hand, kind of guess along with the pitcher, see if there's a trend. And those things all come with familiarity, and you don't have it when you see a guy for the first time.
Felipe pops it to the left side. Heading towards the seats. Is there room? Yes, for Rolen. He's there. Lopez retired. He's 1 for 3, a double his last time up. Scott Rolen, the Gold Glover, has it. One away, and here comes Dunn.
If you're looking to get more out of your grill this summer, try JTM's Grill and Ribs. JTM, more of what you're hungry for.
There are some days when, I mean, any day, the absence of Ken Griffey Jr. is felt. Such an important offensive force, and with this right-hander on the mound today, this would certainly be one of those days. Griffey was 6 for 11 and 3 homers against Ponson in their previous matchups. Don't you think Jerry Narron would have liked to have him in the lineup today?
You better believe it. Which lends you to ask the question, George Graham, is that injury that he has a little more serious than what they're letting on?
Well, he's bounced around pretty good. He's been taking treatment. The hope is maybe tomorrow at the earliest he might be back in the lineup.
Tomorrow they're going to face the left-hander Mark Mulder, not really the guy that you need to bring him back for. Would they maybe wait an extra day and then have him play at home?
Dunn gets under this one, carrying to the warning track. Encarnacion there. He's got it. 2 away. Hey, Friday night, get a look around the major leagues with FSN's baseball report. They cover every team all season long with highlights, interviews, and analysis you won't get anywhere else. FSN's baseball report Friday at 6 right here on FSN. That's a question I think the coaching staff and Jerry Narron were hoping to get answered late this morning, waiting to see if Junior would be ready to be in this lineup today. He is available to pinch hit. And counting the injuries that he's had over the years, anytime he does go down, the questions start coming. How long will he be out? I mean, last year, as the comeback player of the year, was relatively injury-free for Junior.
I think what that injury does, though, George, is also remind you that, you know, Junior in no way is fragile, but he's getting older. And I don't think you can rely on him to be a 7-game-a-week player. I mean, he may play 5 games a week or 6 games a week, but you've got to give him some time off from time to time to rest his body, to get healthy again. And, you know, to get the most out of Junior, you want him as close to 100% as you can rather than trying to ride him every game.
That's an argument that you face with Junior every day because he wants to be out there every day.
True, but, you know, he's not the one that writes the lineup out.
2-1, bloop to the right side by Aurelian, out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Jerry Narron had 3 different lineups penciled on a sheet of paper looking at this weekend and where Junior fits in on which day. He had hoped to pencil him in today.
December, didn't he?
He was doing it while he was doing his daughter's basketball games. You know, he was sitting on the back of the scorebook doing lineups this winter. 2-2. This one sky to the right side. Here comes Encarnacion. Juan will take care of it, and Ponson has another 1-2-3. 6-1 St. Louis. And it doesn't look like something's going to go away anytime soon now, with reports of a grand jury investigating steroid usage and Bond's testimony surrounding that back from 2003. The unfolding story of 2006 that lives on. Here's Ponson. Flied to center, popped to second, 0 for 2, but he's done his job on the mound. He's held the Reds to a run on 4 hits. Dunn homered in the first. The Reds took a 1-0 lead. Since then, Infield hit by Friel, a double by Lopez, and a double by Aurelia. Those are the only Reds hits. Belisle, second pitcher, and he'll walk Ponson, the pitcher, here in the 6th inning to lead off the inning. Ohio Lottery winning numbers, the midday draw and last night's Mega Millions. Pick 3, 089, 089. Pick 4, 2475, 2475. Mega Millions, 810, 18, 29, 33. 810, 18, 29, 33. And your lucky number 10. Hope you had a winner in the Ohio Lottery. Here's Eckstein at the top of the order. David today 1 for 3, a single in the 2nd, and then he scored on a Pujols homer. Albert is homered, his 5th of the year. Luna's hit his 1st. Showing bunt, drops it down, and the ball starts to slip out of his hands. No play made. It'll go as a base hit. Trying to sacrifice, Eckstein hustles it into a base hit.
Not a very good fielding play by Matt Belisle. It's not how you throw the ball, it's how quickly you get to the ball with your feet. Matt Belisle a little slow coming off the mat. He needs to stop right there, because once he picks the ball up and he gets his momentum going into the baseline, he realizes he has no throwing lane. He's going to hit Eckstein right in the back if he throws the ball to first base. So you've got to keep that in mind as you field the ball. Field it, stop, then throw in order to keep that throwing lane intact. And the Cardinals have reached the first 2.
And here's Taguchi, who is a good bunter. So Oquendo come down. We'll see what Tony La Russa does. Will they sacrifice with no one out here in the bottom of the 6th? Ponson out at 2nd. There's a strike. That clogs up the bases a bit with the speedy Eckstein behind him. They check out the third base coach. Oquendo rolls through some signs. There's your bunt. It's fouled off.
Well, Tony La Russa knows the offensive potential of the Reds lineup, and you're going to try to add on any way you can. First and second, you get your number 2 batter up there. Taguchi, normally a pretty good handler of the bat.
Picked a breaking ball to try to bunt on, couldn't do it, and it's no balls, 2 strikes.
And this is where Matt Belisle's got to understand that he can expand the strike zone right here. Don't pump a strike in there, because Taguchi might just be trying to sacrifice again, and he is. Good idea.
He fouls it off for strike 3. So a botched bunt attempt by the Redbirds. We'll see if the Reds can capitalize on it.
Well, no manager in the world likes to run a guy up there, especially a position player, and see him try to do this. That's a horrible attempt right there. That ball nowhere looked like a strike. He still tried to bunt it down, and for 2 strikes, he goes down as strike 3. I'm sure that Tony La Russa not very happy about that particular effort.
So the runner's still at first and second. Now here's Albert. A walk, a homer, and a double. Against Belisle, Pujols has a homer and was 2 for 8 coming into today. Nice spot, 0-2.
Yeah, and that gives you a pretty good idea that Albert Pujols is sitting on a particular pitch. He flinched a little bit and then really didn't give that pitch even a second thought. He was looking for something maybe inside from Matt Belisle, maybe sitting on a fastball, didn't get it, and didn't make himself make an out, hitting a pitcher's pitch.
That slap to the right side, curving towards the seats. It will be out of play. You say 6-1 ball game, big moment, but this is. If Belisle can somehow wriggle out of this jam, the Reds are still within striking distance, 5 runs down. If Pujols and Rolen can cash in, this game all of a sudden looks a lot bleaker.
No doubt. You want to get into that bullpen as best you can, although Ponson has settled into his rhythm. You got to keep him as close as you possibly can, because this offense, you figure, is waiting to score some runs.
0-2. Pujols asked for time. Ponson down and in, 1-2. Ponson walked to lead off the inning. Eckstein trying to sacrifice, bunted his way on for a base hit. Well, he hit the glove, but Pujols just watched it into the glove a little wide.
Well, it's all the makings of a great hitter. You know what you can do, what you can't do. You also know the strike zone. You have about 1/5 of a second to make up your mind.
That's a call, strike 3. That doesn't happen often. Pujols thought it was low. The guy who gets the last call is the home plate umpire, Tim Timmons. Here's another look.
I think he was still looking for a breaking ball in this at bat, even with 2 strikes, but that's a sizzling fastball right there. He just barely missed off the corner the last time. That one at 92 miles an hour on the black, on the knees. And even if Pujols is able to get the bat down on that one, not much he's going to do with it.
So Albert's punched out. 2 strikeouts back to back by Belisle. Now he's got to get through Rolen, who's walked 3 times. Fastball foul back. 1 ball, 1 strike. Scott Rolen made it clear opening day that he was back and feeling good. He hit a grand slam against the Phillies. And he's marched through. He steps to the plate with a .333 average after his injury marred 2005. And that's slap foul.
You just wonder, however, George, you know, they've got him back and he's healthy right now, but is Scott Rolen just a twist of a turn away from, you know, re-injuring that back? It has been kind of a chronic problem for him.
Shoulder, he says, is fine. The back, he does a series of exercises for. It's been something that's bothered him since his days in Philadelphia playing on the turf there.
One of those guys, though, that just a gamer. He'll play through a whole bunch of pain and give you a lot of very good at bats.
One hop, Lopez has it, and they just do get the out at second. Eckstein steamed into second. They just do get it. Nice bounce back by Belisle. It's still 6-1 St. Louis. Not a fun Saturday for the men from Cincinnati. They have only a run on 4 hits. A Dunn homer, their only run, and here's Scott Hatteberg. Hatteberg bounced out and walked against Ponson, who's really kept the Reds at bay all afternoon long. Reds have left only 3 on base. Off his foot, fouled, and we'll try it again, 1-2.
That ball went a long way for coming off of his foot. Off the ankle, that is. Boy, the top of the ankle, that's got to bark a little bit.
That's the same leg that Pujols stepped on yesterday. Burns is up and loosening in the Cincinnati bullpen as we get down to the 6th spot in the lineup. Hit pretty good to left. Under it, hauling it in. Schumacher, and there's 1 away here in the 7th. And that'll bring up Edwin Encarnacion, who struck out and bounced into a 6-4-3 double play. If you're just joining us, George Grant, Chris Welch here at the brand new Busch Stadium. Brand new park opened by the Cardinals this week. Reds' first visit last night, a 1-0 Cincinnati victory. Aaron Harang beating Chris Carpenter. Like all the new parks, this one a dandy. The Reds are pleased and proud with their new stadium. Folks here in St. Louis likewise. Always great to come to St. Louis, where Jerry Risch takes care of the Reds clubhouse side. He and his staff do a great job. And giant clubhouse. Man, all the new clubhouses are pretty big, Chris, when you think of the clubhouses that you were in when you first came in the major leagues. I remember Ralph Kiner talking about old Crosley Field. He said, boy, all I remember is there were 5 nails on the wall, and you had to get there early to hang your clothes on the nail. If you didn't get there, you didn't get a spot to hang your clothes.
Yeah, now there are easy chairs in front of each locker, and they're not even lockers. They're, you know, big areas where they've got shelves and hangers and everything else for you, and they got easy chairs and flat screen TVs everywhere. Nice place to hang out, which explains in a large part why a lot of these ball players now, they head to the ballpark around noon. Coaches included.
That's ripped past rolling towards the corner. Here comes Encarnacion around first. He's heading into second with a 2-base hit. Edwin will have a double, and the Reds have a runner in scoring position with 1 out.
Well, Edwin really didn't hit that ball much more sharply than he did this previous at bat when he hit into a double play. Hit a hot shot to the shortstop Eckstein, who made a diving play and turned it into a twin killing. But this time he gets the bat through and drives it right past Rolen in third base.
Here comes La Russa. Action in the bullpen for the Redbirds, and Ponson's day is done. 101 pitches for Sidney Ponson will end his day, and he gets a rousing applause. Now let's see if the Reds can do some business against a Cardinal bullpen that has struggled. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Afternoon, Chris. Sidney Ponson was the man for St. Louis.
He really made pitches when he had to. The Reds have not mounted much of a rally off of him, but when they did, he made good pitches, got Adam Dunn to strike out, struck out Austin Kearns with the man on, and Ponson leaves after throwing 101 pitches, 6 1/3 innings of 1-run baseball so far. He's got Edwin Encarnacion on base, which is on his ledger, and he'll be relieved by Brad Thompson, 24-year-old right-hander who made 40 appearances and a 4-0 record last year for this Cardinal ball club.
Came up midway through the year last year and helped the Cardinals down the stretch. First time he made the opening day roster this year. You see his numbers. This is 6th appearance. He's pitched fairly decently for a bullpen that has struggled late in games early on. The Reds hopeful that they can do some business against a bullpen that struggled at the tail end. Here's Kearns. Austin today struck out, bounced out 0 for 2. Lined past Luna into center. Here comes Encarnacion. He stops, and now he turns on the Jets, and he'll score. Encarnacion thought at first the ball might be caught by Luna, and he held up. Mark Berry yelling at him, rolled him around second. He scores, and it's a 6-2 game. Well,
normally you wouldn't think this ball would be any close to being caught, but Luna's pinched way up towards the middle against Austin Kearns. That's, again, the Cardinals defense trying to make sure they put the guys where the guys usually hit it. And that ball was scalded by Austin Kearns. That'll close the book on Sidney Ponson.
So 2 runs scored against Ponson. He gives up 5 hits in 7 1/3 inning of work. Here's Javier Valentin. On the stretch is Thompson with Kearns off first. Kearns continues to blister the ball early. That's just foul past Billy Hatcher down at first. Kearns another 1 for 3 day today. The average coming in was .317 with 3 homers and 7 knocked in. He picks up his 8th run batted in of the season. McCracken has moved into the on-deck circle with Belial due up next. Mack just joined the club yesterday after spending all of spring and then rehabbing an injury and coming back. He was activated yesterday. Caught by Pujols. It'll be a double play. And nothing Kearns could do with that one. Albert ends the inning. Now it's time for our Tri-State Chevy dealers' 7th inning stretch. 6 runs, 8 hits for the Redbirds, 2 runs, 6 hits for the Reds. We head to the bottom of the 7th. New pitcher for Cincinnati from the brand new Busch Stadium is Mike Burns. Chris.
Third pitcher of the day for Jerry Naren's crew was Dave Williams, who started out. Matt Belisle came in and pitched a couple of innings. And now the former Houston Astro, Mike Burns. He was picked up by the Reds off the waiver wire back in November. Made the ball club. They had a spring training really by not having overpowering stuff, but just a guy that throws strikes and has a pretty good idea out there. Very tough on right-handers, not so on left-handers, but he's facing 3 right-handers due up in this inning.
Encarnacion, Molina, and Luna due up. Reds trying to keep it where they are right now and cut into a lead that was at once 5 runs, now 4 for the Cardinals. Encarnacion last year, pretty good offensive year again, had 27 doubles in 2005, waves at that one, and he's in another hole, 0-2. Get ahead, make them chase. That's the book on Juan Encarnacion, to get him out. To left. Dunn coming in. Will he get there? He can't hold on, and it'll be a double for Encarnacion. He went a long way, had the ball in his glove, but then when his elbow hit the turf, it jarred it out of his glove, and it's a 2-base hit for Encarnacion.
Juan Encarnacion made a spectacular catch in the gap last night, a diving catch similar to this one right here, but he held on to it. It looked like kind of a strange route that Adam Dunn kind of circled around that ball, but the ball was in his glove, then bounced out when it hit the ground. A lot of outfield out there for him to cover.
So the leadoff hitter sitting at second, Encarnacion, and here's Molina. From the stretch is Burns, showing bunt. He'll get it down. The runner will advance to third. They get the out on the sacrifice. Molina usually does things right, and he did there too. He forced the ball down the third baseline, so that forced Encarnacion to come in and back up the pitcher and allowed Juan Encarnacion to go to third easily.
Really interesting strategy by Tony La Russa. You know, you get down towards the bottom end of the order, you have a man on second base. If you can get him over to third and have just one out, then it doesn't take a base hit to bring him in. The infield is going to be in for the Reds, but Luna merely needs to get the ball into the outfield to plate the 7th run. So you kind of take the pressure off your hitter and make it a lot easier for him to pick up an RBI and help the ball club.
Bottom of the lineup's done its job for the Cardinals today. Molina, a run-scoring base hit. Luna had a run-scoring single in the first and a homer that made it 6-1 in the third. He's 2 for 3. Infield in, edge of the grass for Cincinnati. Pitch out, nothing going.
You know, with Tony La Russa, you never really know. They've got all sorts of plays that they'll put on all the time. Of course, the suicide squeeze is one of them.
He flashes the signs to Akindo, who rolls through the signs again for Encarnacion at third and Luna at the plate. Luna, a very good bunter. This one blooped into right. That will get the run in. What a day for Luna. His first 3-hit game of the year. A single, a homer, and then a single. He's got 3 runs batted in on the afternoon.
Now, they saw something in Hector Luna a few years ago when they picked him off the Rule 5 draft wire. It took a few years for him to finally kind of fill into things, but that's a good swing he put on the ball right there.
Last year they were blessed with Abraham Nunez, who they picked up from the Pirates to be a very versatile infielder. In fact, Nunez became the starting third baseman when Rolen went down, and Luna's moved into that role this year. So the run picked up by the Cardinals. The Reds had cut the deficit to 4. Now it's back 5 again, 7-2. In on the hands, into right. Kearns under it. He's got it 2 away. Hey, shop McCluskey Chevrolet, the one price, best and best overall shopping experience for new Chevy cars and trucks in Cincinnati. At McCluskey, it's easy or it's free. Here's Scott Spezio, who will pinch hit in the 9th spot. Spezio hitting for Thompson. Spezio, the most proficient and most experienced pinch hitter that La Russa will have on most days. When Edmonds is in the lineup, of course. Edmonds did not start today. This one hit deep to right. Kearns going back, looking up. It's heading to the wall. It is gone. Just as the Reds get back to make it a ball game, boom, 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 and the Cardinals have opened a 7-run lead. It's 9-2 St. Louis.
Well, he went down to get this pitch. I didn't think that was all that bad of a pitch. It looked like a little bit of a sinking fastball moving away from Spezio, and he went right down there and dropped the head.
Bounced down to third by Eckstein. Hatteberg can't get it. It's over his head. Eckstein's trying for 2. They got a shot at him. Aurelia's throw is perfect, and he's out. But the damage done. A 2-run shot by Spezio. It's 9-2. The Cardinals lead it. Here we go to the 8th.
Former #1 draft pick by the St. Louis Cardinals comes home. Braden Looper will come into the ball game. He originally was drafted by the Cardinals. In fact, he made a major league debut back in 1998 for this Cardinals team before he was sent to Florida in exchange for Edgar Renteria. In the meantime, he picked up 103 saves between being in Florida and pitching the last couple of seasons for the New York Mets.
The Reds touched him a couple of times at Shea Stadium and in Cincinnati in closing situations when he was with the Mets. And by his own admission, he's not right yet. They've used him in non-setup and non-save situations so far in the early going. They hope that by the time he gets righted that he'll be an integral part of the closing end of this bullpen. There's a shot. Pujols robs a base hit from Phillips, who was in to pinch hit. Brandon Phillips hit it pretty good, but Albert Pujols, getting full extension, flags this one down.
I'll tell you, the guy's played marvelous defense in this series. Every time you hit a line drive to the right side, there's Albert Pujols. It seems like his glove is 50 feet wide. Our John Morrell hot dog play of the game, and Albert's there to snag it.
So 1 away. Phillips retired. Back to the top of the order, Ryan Friel. Friel 1 for 3, a single, an infield hit back in the 3rd. 9 runs, 11 hits now for St. Louis. 2 runs, 6 hits for Cincinnati. When Braden Looper was in New York, one of the guys who he relied upon a lot, who helped him when he moved into the closer's role, was now Reds closer David Weathers. There's Eckstein. He's got it. Friel's retired. Our Honda standings update going into today. The Reds 7-3 and a half-game lead over the Cubs at the start of play today. That's our Honda standings update in the National League Central. And Looper, Chris, is one of those guys who you've always said has closer stuff. And you hope that if you bring him to town, as the Cardinals have, that he could be an integral part of pressure points of a ball game.
I mean, right now he's a little different pitcher than what he once was. He used to throw the ball, you know, upwards of 100 miles an hour, usually in the mid-90s at the very least. But physically, he's not quite back there yet. But boy, they've got a pretty potent back end of the bullpen if they can get Looper throwing the ball well and Isringhausen back to where he normally is.
Looper started in the Cardinal organization and has now made his way back here after being in the minors with the Cardinals.
It's always been Tony La Russa's philosophy that you win road games with your bullpen.
Bounce wide of second. Luna takes a tricky hop, and they do get him. Lopez bounces out. It's a 1-2-3 for Looper. Bottom of 8 with the Reds won game 1 of the series 1-0 last night in a gem of a win by Aaron Harang. Numbers a little uglier today. 9-2 the Cardinals lead it. Luna 3 for 4, his first homer of the year. And Albert Pujols 2 for 3, a homer of his own for Pujols, homer number 5 on the year. Added up, and it's a 9-2 lead. Here's the Reds' new pitcher. It's Chris Hammond.
Well, new if you want to call a 40-year-old left-hander in his second stint with the Reds. New pitcher he is. He's in for the 5th time this season. Hammond is. Second time with the ball club overall. He made his major league debut with the Reds back in 1990. Pitched 3 games with that wire-to-wire champion team.
Brandon Phillips stays in the game at short. Encarnacion, Phillips, Aurelia Hatterberg around the infield. Swing and a miss by Taguchi. He's retired. Taguchi doubled his first time up. He's sitting right now on a 1-for-5 afternoon, and here comes Albert. Pujols a walk, a homer, a double, and a strikeout.
And several marvelous defensive plays.
I mean, there is no one way to pitch to Albert Pujols, but you know, even Chris Hammond, who doesn't blow you away with his fastball, you got to pitch inside, and you have to at least let him be aware of inside, or he has such great plate coverage, he'll murder you.
Well, most every hitter wants that ball out over the plate. It's easier to get the bat head and the sweet spot of the bat on the ball. Those guys that pitch inside and can do that with regularity and not miss over the plate are going to be winners. Chris Hammond's been able to do that. That last pitch 76 miles an hour, so you don't have to blow it in there at 95 to get somebody jammed. They can jam themselves.
Now the rain has started to fall here at Busch Stadium, sending some of the fans to cover or the turnstiles as we're in the bottom of the 8th inning.
About 3 hours too late.
Rain during batting practice. They covered the field. Hammond knocks it down, bounces up, and gets the out. Good inning for Chris Hammond. 1-2-3 going to the 9th. The Reds need a big rally. They trail at 9-2. Coming down here at Busch Stadium, our storyline update. Dave Williams' last start. Could he duplicate it? Could he improve on it? As it turns out, he's the losing pitcher right now. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 strikeouts. Last time, what happens this time? A different story, as the Redbirds built up an early lead, 3 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, to take an early 6-1 lead. The story of it starts on the mound and ends on the mound. And on this day, the Cardinals have gotten the best of it. 9-11-0 for St. Louis, 2-6-1 for Cincinnati. We go to the 9th, and Ricardo Rincon trying to close the door.
Signed here as a free agent back in December. Ricardo Rincon in his 3rd major league ball club. Broke in with the Pittsburgh Pirates, went on to Cleveland, make it 4th, and then he went to the Oakland A's the last 2.5 or so years. One of the 2 left-handed guys down in Tony La Russa's bullpen.
Here's Adam Dunn. He supplied the early offense for Cincinnati. 2 outs in the first. He ripped his 6th homer of the season. 1 for 3 on the afternoon. Popped up left side. And it'll reach the seats and be out of play. Dunn facing Rincon for the first time. Hope you join us tomorrow. I hope the rain's over by then. They expect some severe thunderstorms tonight. Hopefully it'll blow through by tomorrow. Real Reds at 1:30 with Jim Day. Ronson Arroyo gets the ball for Cincinnati. Mark Mulder for St. Louis. 1-2 to Dunn. Molina sets up away, and that clips the outside corner for a strike.
Now, he didn't like that call at all. He thought it was outside, and I'm wondering if maybe Adam doesn't feel like that pitch was called a strike by Tim Timmons because of a 9-2 score. There's Molina way outside, and hard to tell from that angle.
One away, and here's Aurelia. Here's a little better view from behind the pitcher. Pretty close. Looked like a strike, considering it's coming from a lefty.
Yeah. Too close to take, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you know, even a hitter up there in a 9-2 ball game doesn't want to give an at-bat away.
Mm-hmm. Here's Aurelia 1 for 3. He doubled in the fourth. He's hit the ball hard twice today. High 3-0.
Well, there was a time that Ricardo Rincon's stuff was just as bad as nasty as any left-hander around, and he had a slider that would start somewhere up, if you're a left-handed hitter, up behind your left ear, and then finish down around the outside of the plate on the dirt. Doesn't have quite that stuff anymore. Also backed it up with a fastball in the 90s.
Wears and tears on your elbow. Now that slider looks more like a cutter.
Mm-hmm.
3-1.
I guess your arm only has so many of them in it.
How many you got left?
Mine are kind of rolling up there at this point.
3-2. True love. Stay till the last out.
Need a bigger umbrella.
Unless you're sitting behind him.
And you need a Brockabrella.
That's it. The home of the Brockabella, St. Louis. 3-2, ball 4. Aurelia takes a walk, 1 out, 1 on, and here comes Hatteberg. No Brockabellas, no umbrellas for the Reds' chief operating officer, John Allen, and his wife Anna. They've stayed till the end. Give them credit.
A Cincinnati Reds poncho. They're only staying to the end because they got to probably take the team bus back to the hotel.
This day started with John Allen taking his jog down by the river at the city of St. Louis, past the new ballpark, and he's ending like he's feeling like he's swimming in the river. That one misses for ball 1. The new ballpark here in St. Louis is right adjacent to where the old ballpark was, for those of you that have been to St. Louis. It's facing in a similar direction towards the river, and you can see the St. Louis Arch as it's wide open in the outfield, unlike the old ballpark.
You never really knew which way the old ballpark faced.
Yeah.
It was completely enclosed.
And right past that left field and left center area, they've got a commercial development that's privately funded that'll be developing in the next couple of years. Two 2-0.
And that development will include retail and shops and restaurants and things like this right next to the ballpark, something that the Reds are hoping they're able to do right there on the riverfront next to Great American Ballpark, which will make a huge difference to those fans that want to come down early to before a ball game or stay after a ball game and enjoy themselves.
This park was a privately funded park, unlike Cincinnati, where the two stadiums were built with mainly public financing. Here's the 2-1. That's slap foul down the first base line. And we all heard in the beginning that the project would be quick to unfold in Cincinnati. It's been slow. And the hope here is that it can be rapidly done, and you really need it. A ballpark is a silver bullet for a year or two. Then after that, you've got to have something around it to make it work for the city, whatever city it is.
I mean, and it doesn't have to be an extravagant piece of development either. I mean, just how about a few places like the old Flanagan's thrown in down there, where you can head after the game to go to Colwyn and some peanuts, to give you a reason to hang around, and to helps rejuvenate the city.
That's what they're hoping for in St. Louis, and the same thing for Cincinnati. Rincon puts a wrinkle in it. Hatteberg swings and misses. Second out of the inning, and it's up to Edwin Encarnacion to keep the Reds' hopes alive. 2 strikeouts for Rincon. Edwin today struck out, bounced into a double play, and then double to left in the 7th. He scored the second of the 2 Reds runs. That came on a base hit by Kearns. Kearns run scoring single, and Dunn's homer, the only 2 Reds runs that have been produced today. Tomorrow it'll be Bronson Arroyo, the Reds' brightest new hope in the pitching rotation. He'll try to win his 3rd against Mark Mulder. That plunks him. Trying to come inside. He hits Encarnacion on the hip. 2 on, 2 out, and here comes Kearns. That's a strike to Kearns. Austin today bounced out, struck out, and singled in the Reds' 2nd run with a shot to center field in the 7th.
Now, it looks like Rincon has a couple of different sliders there, George. That first one more of a cut fastball coming in about 83 miles an hour. Took a little bit more off that second one and jumped ahead of Kearns 0-2.
0-2, 2 outs. Those that remain for the Redbirds on their feet. Way wide, and with the rain coming down, you wonder if that one might have slipped a little bit. Fastball fouled off. It stays 1-2. National League final today. Milwaukee 8 and the Mets 2 at Shea Stadium. Everything else a little bit later on. That's a little wide. Now we're even at 2-2. Popped up and out of play. Cleveland has beaten Detroit 7-2. Seattle shut out Boston the final 3-0. 2 American League finals that are in. Here, Tony La Russa and the Cardinals holding on to a 9-2 lead here in the ninth. This one hit down the line towards the corner by Kearns. It's going to be one hop, a fair ball off the wall. 1 run scores. They'll hold Encarnacion at third, and Kearns has another multi-hit ball game, a double, and it's a 9-3 score. The Reds trail by 6. Down 0-2. Kearns makes a good at-bat of it.
Yeah, he really worked hard at that at-bat, fouled off some tough pitches, got a pitch finally out over the plate that he could drive a little bit. And boy, he had a double last night right down the right field line. This time he gets one up and in and pulls it down the left field line. Somehow kept that ball fair.
If you're just joining us, it's 9-3 St. Louis. Tony La Russa's out. He'll make a pitching change, and while the pitching change takes place, he'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on FSN Ohio.
Ricardo Rincon unable to get out of the ninth inning, and it'll be Josh Hancock, the former Cincinnati Red. Last year, Josh was in 11 ball games with the Reds, and he was in 12 games the year before. Make it 16 total in 2004, that with the Phillies, and came into camp with the Reds this year. They deemed him overweight by about 17 pounds. They cut him loose early on in camp. He was invited over to the St. Louis Ball Club in their camp over in the Jupiter area, made the ball club, and here he is trying to put the Reds away in the ninth inning. He's got 1 out to go.
Numbers for Josh Hancock: 37 total games, a 6-3 record. He spent most of last year on and off the disabled list and rehabbing with groin and leg problems. And he won the last spot in this Cardinal bullpen, beating out former Yankee and Seattle reliever Jeff Nelson. There he's trying to get the final out against his former team. He'll face Javier Valentin, a guy who caught him when he was in Cincinnati.
You know, from a matchup standpoint, this move by La Russa doesn't make any sense. I mean, because you really want Javier Valentin batting right-handed if you're Cardinal. But evidently he was not very happy with Rincon, and he wanted to make a point right there.
The Reds didn't waste any time in cutting Hancock loose when he showed up overweight this spring, and you really felt, Chris, you know, when you get a new regime in, a new general manager in Wayne Krivsky and Jerry Narron taking over full-time, it was clearly a message to be sent that, you know, when we agreed to something at the end of last year, when they met with Hancock at the end of last year, this is where we want you to come in. We expect you to be in at that number. When he didn't, it wasn't just the Josh Hancock story. It was send a clear message to everyone in the organization.
Yeah, that and the fact that you always seem to have some other pitchers that can take his place. I mean, he's the 11th or 12th pitcher on the team, and you should have a handful of other pitchers that are in that same area that can do some work for you. For instance, you know, in the terms of a general manager, interchangeable parts would be Mike Burns, Matt Belisle, Josh Hancock. They all kind of fit that middle reliever thing where they're going to give out there and give you a couple of middle innings and not overly hard throwers. You really never anticipate either of them to be closers, but they're going to be serviceable pitchers as long as they throw strikes.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Setting up away is Molina. Fouled off. And, you know, the other part of the equation was, I think at that stage, Vern Rule and Tom Hume and Jerry Narron, they didn't think he would make the staff, and if he didn't, he'd go to AAA, and according to his contract, he would have been paid a hefty figure. I believe it was over $200,000 as a AAA pitcher. That was part of the equation also. Hancock trying to make the best of it here in St. Louis. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. He got him. Josh Hancock turns down the Reds here in the 9th inning. The Cardinals hold on. 9 runs, 11 hits, no errors to 3-7-1 for Cincinnati. This series is now even at 1 victory apiece. More to talk about after these messages.